Hello and welcome back to our little farm in the south of France. Summer has turned out to be the busiest season we've had since moving here 10 months ago. The busiest and definitely the hottest. As we're filming this, we're going through our fourth heat wave of the year and it's starting to wear us down. Wildfires have broken out in several places of France, and although we're thankfully safe, we can still smell the smoke in the air, so we're staying alert. Our pond, which was overflowing all winter, is now almost completely dry. It's hard to believe it's the same place. But despite the relentless heat, life on the farm doesn't stop. The harvests keep coming, the food preserving continues, and there are always new projects waiting in the garden, almost as if it isn't 1,000 degrees outside. And after months of hard work, we've finally reached an exciting milestone. We've started selling our harvest at the local market. So come along with us as we show you everything we've been up to over the past few weeks.
Now we're gonna start the construction of the bamboo tunnel. We're gonna nail these ones down between the ships in the bed every 1 meter. And then the bamboo will just come here on the outside. We'll tie a couple of loops around and then connect the bamboo together. See if it works. Let's get started.
Even though it's already July, the garden is still expanding. We still have plenty of vegetables we want to grow this season, so there's no slowing down just yet. This is a project we actually started quite a while ago, but we are finally getting close to finishing it. The idea was to make better use of the space by growing your crops vertically. Not only does it leave more room in the garden for plants that tend to spread everywhere, but we also hoped it would become a beautiful feature in the garden itself. Our vision is to create a tall bamboo tunnel that can support climbing crops like squash, small watermelons, pumpkins, beans, cucumbers and loofahs. At 16 meters long, it will match the length of our polytunnel, making the two structures sit beautifully alongside each other while adding a whole new dimension to the garden. To make that happen, we needed a lot of thick bamboo. Luckily, a friend of ours had plenty to spare. We do have bamboo growing in our property too, but it's much thinner and simply wasn't strong enough for a structure we wanted to last for many years. Getting all of that bamboo home was a bit of an adventure, but thankfully everything made it in one piece. Now the moment had finally arrived to bring our idea to life and turn that pile of bamboo into the tunnel we'd been imagining for so long. Everything seemed to be going according to plan. The support posts were in the ground, we had more than enough bamboo, and with plenty of help from Gisli's family, the project was moving along quickly. But things don't always go the way you imagine. Sometimes a project has a way of throwing unexpected surprises at you. Surprises that make you stop, rethink your plan, and wonder what to do next.
Is it big enough?
I think it's a little bit too tall to harvest beans.
I don't know.
Maybe a little bit shorter. Yeah. The realization came pretty quickly. Thick bamboo doesn't bend the same way as the thinner canes do, and before long we realized our tunnel would end up being almost 3 meters tall. As impressive as that sounded, it wasn't exactly practical. We'd need a ladder just to harvest the vegetables. So it was time to rethink the plan and make a few adjustments. To make the project work, we trimmed away the thickest part of each bamboo pole, keeping only the thinner, more flexible sections that could bend into the shape we wanted. With everything prepared once again, it was finally time for a second attempt. Hopefully, this one would go a little more according to
We're gonna
plan.
finish all the straps before we get the first one done.
Ja. Practice the elevator.
Det haltar lite hemma.
Under pressure.
This time, the height was just right, but before we could get too far, we ran into another small setback. The thinner ends of the bamboo were flexible enough to bend into shape, but under too much pressure they could also snap. It was another reminder that every material has its limits. Thankfully, it wasn't anything that we couldn't fix. A few adjustments later, we were back on track and the tunnel was finally starting to take shape.
So now we're finished putting up the 8 arches. So only the last one that's giving us a little trouble. One bamboo is a little thicker. We can't get it quite tight yet. We're hoping that it gives a little if it flexes for a while. Anyway, now we're gonna put some supports in the center between each one, making sure they're all straight. And then we put some of the thicker pieces of bamboo at the bottom, all the way each way. And then we have to find some smaller pieces to put gradually up the entire side so the beans and plants can climb easily all the way up.
This tunnel has been a dream of ours for quite some time, so we didn't wait for it to be finished before planting. We had already sown and transplanted the crops, trusting that the structure would soon be ready to support them. While we were busy building, the plants had a different plan. They kept growing in every direction, searching for something to climb. Now that the tunnel was finally standing, it was time to gently guide them upward and give them the support they'd been waiting for.
Ja, was ist großer Frau? Na, jetzt so weg.
There's still a little bit left to do before we can call the tunnel completely finished, but seeing it finally coming together has been incredibly rewarding. And while one project was slowly reaching the finish line, another part of the garden was becoming busier than ever. Every day seemed to bring a new harvest. The tomatoes kept ripening, the cucumbers just wouldn't stop producing, and before long, we found ourselves picking far more vegetables that we could possibly eat ourselves. I feel this is the biggest tomato I've ever harvested. This is huge. That's a big one. It's one of those moments every gardener hopes for. After months of planting, watering, and caring for the crops, the garden was finally giving back. So we decided it was time to take the next step and head to our local market to sell the surplus from our garden. We grow everything in our garden using organic methods, but because we're not certified organic farmers, we're not allowed to market our produce as organic. That doesn't take away from the joy of sharing it with others. Knowing that we're able to provide people in our local community with fresh, homegrown vegetables that we've cared from seed to harvest is an incredibly rewarding feeling, and one that makes all the hard work worthwhile. And the garden just kept on giving. After the tomatoes, more and more vegetables began ripening, one after another. And what had started as a small table with a few boxes of tomatoes soon grew into a colorful display filled with all kinds of freshly harvested produce. But what made us happiest wasn't seeing the table get bigger, it was seeing familiar faces return. People who had bought from us the week before came back for more, and each market became another opportunity to chat with locals, meet new people, and slowly become part of the community. As word spread about our little farm and the journey that brought us here, something we never expected happened. People became curious about what we were building and why we had chosen to start this new chapter of our lives in a small village in the south of France. Every conversation at the market seemed to lead to another, and before long, our story had begun to travel beyond the market stalls. So, not long after, we were invited to share our journey in the local newspaper. It was our very first interview here. While the garden was thriving above the ground, another part of our little farm was facing a very different challenge. The pond that had been overflowing during winter was now shrinking day by day. Many of the ponds around us had already turned completely dry, and ours was quickly heading in the same direction. The fish were living in what little water remained, and it was becoming clear that we couldn't wait much longer before finding a permanent solution. But before making any major changes, we decided to do what we could right away. Instead of letting the remaining water spread out in the thin, shallow layer, we wanted to create one deeper area where the fish could have a better chance of surviving the heat. So, with the excavator ready and the summer sun showing no mercy, it was time to start digging.
So now I've dug a little deeper channel, and hopefully the part there in the middle where the fish will collect once the water is almost gone out of the pond. Not much left at all in it there. So hopefully they collect there. You can scoop them up and put them in a fish tank. Maybe put them in a neighbor's pond or somewhere they would be safe. While ours probably completely dries out like last year.
With so many projects happening at the same time, it's sometimes hard to catch your breath. And with the kids home for their summer holidays, there's always something that needs our attention. We get tired, we get overwhelmed, and sometimes we forget to slow down and simply enjoy it all. Thankfully, our home is never short of family and friends. Even with the relentless heat, this has been a wonderful summer, filled with laughter, good food, and moments we'll remember for years to come. Thank you for being part of this adventure and for following along as we build this little life, one project at a time. Take care, stay safe, and we'll see you in the next one.